All right, we are live right now. I'm gonna send you the link. We're live right now, but it's fine. I'm gonna send you the link. Um,
We live and you gonna send me the link? We
yeah,
behind.
that's fine.
Who's on? What up?
I don't think anybody's in here just yet. Um, let's see.
I should have got the link first.
It
Okay, I
is
got
what
it.
it is. All right, y'all. I'm almost done. I'm just gonna send it in the Discord really quick. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Clash of Cultures, episode 20. I know you guys haven't seen us in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, bro,
Um,
you been tripping,
I've been tripping, but it's a two man show, which is crazy.
bro. I am good. No. Don't do that. Cause Friday I was like, yo, let's do the show. Oh man, the internet ain't good enough. I said, let's do it before. This is Friday.
There
This
is
is
no way
then.
we could have did it. Like, what are you doing right
Then
now?
then I'm like, yo, let's do it before the game. Oh man, I need to do the Tiger walk and the
Guinea pig said go Irish.
right, guinea pig coming out strong, huh?
We're
I
gonna talk
like it.
about guinea pig. We're gonna talk about that game, but
No, tell rock with your squad, man. I like it.
but before we kind of, I'm gonna let you guys know now. We aren't previewing every top 25 game this week. We haven't been live in like 2 weeks, so we're gonna kind of unpack everything. Yeah, I know they do, Nolan. And don't forget, I had the conversation with you and your brother, because both of
Now
y'all
Nolan
said,
was a realist
and it's
about it.
crazy. Well, no, it's crazy because 2 years ago when they hired Lincoln Riley, or about a year and a half ago, I'm assuming he got a phone call or something, but okay. 2 years ago, they both said that they would be this year. They would be in the playoffs, and I told them that they wouldn't. So I thought, I mean, and USC was kind of one of my sleeper teams to get in, but I didn't think the Pac-12 was going to get in the playoffs this year because of all the cannibalism. But I told you, Nolan, y'all weren't going to get in the playoffs in 2 years, man, with Lincoln Riley. I knew it wasn't going to happen. I just didn't see it happening. But like I said, we're not going to be previewing every top 25 game this week. There's a lot of topics to cover that we missed out on the last couple weeks for us being gone and stuff. And then obviously my trip to Clemson to meet up with my dad and stuff like that. We don't have to talk about Clemson though. I mean, we're probably going to end up with a better record than you guys are. So I don't really think that you can really say that. You guys still got to play
I can't hear
Oregon
you.
and Washington.
Hold on, I'm gonna leave it.
What's going on here? USC isn't making the playoffs because they have Lincoln Riley as a coach. I mean, Lincoln Riley is a good coach. I don't think he's a bad coach. Um, but I just think, I mean, they're in a situation where they're in a really tough conference this year. That's what it comes down to. But like I said, I don't know what's going on with his stuff. I guess he's going to join back in a second. But like I was saying, we're not going to talk about every top 25 game this week. We missed out on 2 weeks of lives. So we're going to talk about pretty much all of the news in college football, wins, losses, stuff like that. USC making the playoffs because they got us in the schedule every year. I don't think that's typically the case. They have to play two other playoff contenders as well. Just think they're in a tough situation. Let me add him back in really quick.
Sorry, ma'am. I got a phone call in and knocked my audio off.
Okay. But I mean, breaking news. I'm not sure if you saw it, but Michigan, but the whole suspension of Michigan.
Yeah, they
Um,
say.
I think that is going to be their downfall now that he can't be on the sideline for the rest of the season.
Now they
Um,
said they're going to fight that. I think their intention is to fight that with the Big Ten. Um, so it may be a little bit before it even takes effect because I think they're going to appeal. Uh, it's not my internet. Literally, I'm not even at home. I got a call and whatever happened, like I said, it knocked my audio off because it was trying to tell me about the call. Um,
um, oh, go ahead.
but yeah, I think the intention is for them to fight that. This is going to get caught up in courts. I think this is going to be a minute before we actually get a final verdict on this.
Um, but let's kind of go backwards. Did we do a recap? I don't think we did a recap after the October 28th games. I'm pretty sure we didn't. That was the week of Oregon beating Utah, Louisville beating Duke, we definitely didn't do a recap after this week. So just to kind of break some stuff down, what happened that week. This was week 9.
You
We had,
sure?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. If not, I'll just go through it real quick. We had Kansas beating Oklahoma by 5. We had Oregon beating Utah by 30. Notre Dame winning big against Pitt. Louisville obviously winning 23-0 against Duke, like I just said. USC winning 50-49 against Cal. Washington winning by 9 against Stanford. Ohio State beating Wisconsin by 14. And then Arizona beating Oregon State. And I remember I called that, and now I know that we didn't talk about that because I remember I talked about Arizona beating them. This is actually a topic I want to cover. Doug Van Dane says Louisville is overrated. Now, I want to say this. I'm in a Facebook group. It's called All We Talk is College Football. A guy posted a picture, and it was a picture of like a phone call, and it said potential spam, and it had a picture of Louisville. I think that is ridiculous. You can't call or potential fraud. I'm sorry. You cannot call Louisville a fraud when they were projected to go 7-5 this year. That doesn't make any sense.
I think that's only maybe based off of the trajectory and where they are. If you say that their skill is not indicative of their record,
you can't even really say that. They have a bunch of good wins.
Yeah, no. Because like you said, I think they are well above what most of us, and I know you predicted them to have a pretty good season, but where most of us would have predicted. I mean, they're doing way better than I predicted, so I can't really call them a fraud. I don't know if they're ready to be. If we're now talking about them as a conference winner, a New Year's Six bowl participant, I don't think they're ready to play those type of teams.
So basically what you're saying is they're going to lose the rest of their games because they're 9-1. So you are going to have them either going 1-1 or 0-2 in their last 2 games. And they play Miami and Kentucky. So you have them losing both games. Both are losable games. I'm going to say this, though. They're number 11 right now. If Louisville beats both of these teams and then beats Florida State in the conference championship game, they better be a playoff team. There's no way they can't be a playoff team.
That's so hard to say right now because
I don't think it is.
There's so much other stuff that would have to play out. Let's just say, Alabama beats Georgia. They're not getting in over Alabama or Georgia. They're not getting in over the Ohio State Michigan team that goes.
Wait. Are you saying that Georgia with a loss in the conference championship would still get in over Louisville?
Yes.
I don't think that's the case because you have to look. They would have beaten arguably a top 3 team in Florida State, who probably has the best resume in college football. And then you're going to still beat Notre Dame, who's going to be a top 25 team at the end of the year. You're still going to beat Duke, who's a borderline top 25 team at the end of the year. Miami might be top 25. And then you have Kentucky, who's not a bad team. So
yeah, I don't think they're getting in over Georgia.
Because especially right now they're number 11. That means if they win out, they'll be a top 8 team heading into the conference championship game. And then you're going to beat a top 3 team.
Ohio State Michigan winner gets in. Whatever happens with whoever wins the Pac-12, again, let's just assume because I will probably pick Oregon in that game. Oregon would have one loss as the Pac-12 champion if that's the way it plays out. If Washington goes undefeated, Oregon has one loss, wins that game. I think Oregon gets in over them. So we're already talking about. So we're saying Oregon, the Ohio State Michigan winner, the SEC champion. If Alabama loses, then that puts them in that conversation but then you got Georgia getting in. So then you got Georgia, the Oregon Washington winner, the Big 12 winner, and then we still got to talk about. I mean, I said the Big 12 winner, but the Big 10 winner, and we still got to talk about the Big 12 winner.
Yeah, I just think when you look at a resume, you can't really say Louisville won't have a resume if they win out because
no, they will.
They probably have because coming into the year, I would say their schedule was very poor. When I looked at because I didn't expect Duke to be this good. I know you did. I didn't expect Notre Dame is always still a good win regardless of what their record ends up being. Miami, I didn't think Miami would be 6-3 at this point in the year.
I thought you kind of like Miami.
Yeah, but I didn't think they would be this good. And then you still have, like I said, you have Notre Dame, Boston College is now 6-3, or 7-2, or whatever they are. I don't know what they are, but so you have a lot of good wins on your resume, and then to top that, at the end of the year, Florida State has the best resume, and I don't think it's close. I think Florida State has the best wins of anybody in college football, with beating LSU, beating Clemson, beating Duke.
Well, obviously the playoff committee doesn't agree with that. And
Well,
the
I
reason
also,
I'm saying that is
but well,
because
no. I think
still,
that's different though, because I think they're coming with preconceived notions because they have Georgia high and Georgia hasn't beaten anybody, and same thing with Michigan. They have
but
Michigan high and they haven't beaten anybody.
But the specific reason that Ohio State was put over Georgia was resume.
He said, even if Louisville will have a good resume, they won't have anywhere near the resume of Texas. Texas only has the Alabama win. Who else?
Yeah,
who else has Texas beat?
So I'm assuming you're talking about depending on what the Big 12 looks like at the end. Is it Oklahoma State? Is it Oklahoma? If they have to beat Oklahoma again, they would have then overcome their only big loss. They will have Kansas, who will probably be a ranked team.
So Louisville, I would say Louisville's two good wins are Duke and Notre Dame, but I'm also projecting a win over Florida State. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying if the scenario were to play out and they beat Florida State, then their resume would be, stacked up against anybody.
Then it's comparable.
Yeah. You're 12-1 after, and again, you're beating an undefeated win. Clemson is not a good resume win for Florida State. They have 4 losses. Clemson has lost 3 times at home in the last decade. That's a good win. It doesn't matter who beats them at home. Clemson, a win at Clemson is a good win. A win at Ohio State is a good win. A win at LSU is a good win. It doesn't matter. That's still a good program.
Just speaking of Clemson is probably going to end the year 7-5, 8-4. On probably an upward swing. And like you mentioned, I think we are putting a lot of stock in this year. And we can kind of talk about Clemson in the very short term. And hey, I think any Clemson fan would say this has been a bad year for them. But I don't think that's indicative of what a win one at Clemson means and against Clemson, period, means. I think that's still a quality win.
Yeah,
no matter who the team is.
Exactly. So I think when you look at a team like a Clemson, like an Alabama, like an Ohio State, any team like that, I think even if they are having a quote unquote down year, Nolan said, is Clemson going to a bowl? Just asking. I'm sure we're going to go to a bowl. It's probably not going to be a great bowl, but I'm sure they're going to go to a bowl game. They have Alabama, Kansas State, and Kansas, 3 top 25 teams and the top 10 team. Clemson looked the same as they did all year, and so did Notre Dame. What do you mean by that? I'm kind of confused. He said, I doubt Clemson wins out. They did everything to give that game away.
So if you say that, I think you are only talking about from the offense. And I would agree that the offense, especially late, really the third and fourth quarter, didn't play great. But the defense did everything. If you're saying that, then on the flip side, you got to say that the defense did everything possible to put them in a position to win, which they ultimately did. I think coming into the season, we all felt that Clemson's defense would have to carry the day. And in most cases, they have, right? That the unfortunate part for Clemson's defense is sometimes the offense has put them in literally just unwinnable positions. And so, I think Clemson's call this year, let's just say if Clemson was a contender, a national championship contender and all of that, it would have been on the back of the defense. The defense has played. The defense has played great, and the defense in the third and fourth quarter shut Notre Dame down in where Notre Dame had multiple possessions where
wait. You can't hold on. Game Pig, you can't say that when in the first 4 or 5 weeks, y'all were in the Discord saying how y'all average 45 points a game. Y'all were the first team to put up 30 on NC State in the last 5 seasons, all these different stats. And then when you guys start losing, say that your offense is terrible. You got to pick. You can't play both sides. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think that. I think we can all agree that Notre Dame offense isn't great, but I don't think
it's not terrible though.
But I don't think that takes anything away from the Clemson defense. The Clemson defense has been solid all year. You guys remember? Go back to that Syracuse game. They've been solid all year. And I think when you look at their record, again, I don't think that is indicative of the way that Clemson defense is played. I think they've had some struggles on the offensive side.
Because we know now. But that's my point, though. Like, literally, y'all put up 50 points the week prior to playing us. And there was no talk about the offense being terrible. But let's talk about another terrible side of the ball, which is the USC defense. Nolan, I want to know, what is your thoughts on, because it's kind of it's funny. Like, it's literally the opposite of Clemson. You guys have arguably the best offense in college football and a terrible defense. We have arguably the best defense in football and arguably the worst offense. So I want to know, like, Dad, what do you think about the USC kind of state of their program? And Nolan, give me your thoughts as well.
Well, the first piece is, and I don't know if we talked about this, obviously Alex Grinch got fired as the defensive coordinator mid-season, right? So anytime a coordinator gets fired mid-season, especially when it is not also the head coach, that just kind of tells you how bad that side of the ball is. This USC defense is historically bad. I don't think I've seen anything like this, where it seems like it looks like schematically it's not working, effort isn't working, and it comes out to be, because you would have to believe that USC has talent. This is a blue blood college football program, so I would have to believe that individually the talent is there. I'm not sure why or how this team looks this bad on defense. And I mean, I have never seen a defense where at any point in time a team can, and we're talking about everybody. This isn't just, I know we talked about Notre Dame. We talked about a Utah team that had a horrible offense all season, that their defense was playing lights out, that moved up and down the field on USC. Every team moves up and down the field on USC. Washington, obviously. You feel bad for Caleb Williams, because I think this is a mark on his legacy as a college football quarterback. When we go to talk about him amongst the greats, his contributions have not lacked. You can put his numbers up against any quarterback in college football right now, and if you took the records out of it, you would have to at least have him in that Heisman conversation. The defense has been so bad that it's going to end up hurting his legacy to a point where he was doing so much that I think it was starting to hurt his draft stock. I think teams are now starting to talk about Drake May as possibly the top pick. This is just a historically bad defense. Alex Grinch deserves to get fired, but they have to go back to like square one with this defense and figure it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you actually think about it, I kind of feel bad for Caleb Williams, because he's been so good, and he can't play defense. Like, the numbers that he's putting up, he's scoring 50, 60 points, 45 plus at least, week in and week out, and you're losing 50 to 45s, 55 to 42. It's kind of crazy.
It's a situation where literally he cannot make a mistake. They have to score a touchdown every drive, because just about every drive, their defense is going to give up a touchdown.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out with the rest of the year. I know we talked about it.
Let me ask you this, though. I know Alex Grinch takes the brunt of this. Why does none of this fall on Lincoln Riley? Right? Lincoln Riley, everywhere he's gone, has been a great maybe Lincoln Riley is better served as offensive coordinator. Right? He's never had a great defense. He seems to just ignore that side of the football. At what point do you think we should start looking at Lincoln Riley and saying, hey, if you're going to be, because he's never been a true national championship contender in his Oklahoma stops, and now obviously at USC.
How long was he in Oklahoma for?
So they went the year.
They went to the playoffs.
But even that year, I don't think anybody really had them with an opportunity to win. They went that Kyler Murray year. I don't. And even that year, the issue was defense. Why is he not being held to the standard of this great coach that we're all labeling him as, when he seems to obviously ignore one side of the football?
Yeah, but I would say in 2019 they were a contender because they went to the playoff in 2019 and 2020. And in 2019 they lost by 11 to Alabama, 45-34. And they got blown out to LSU in the next year. But I mean, everybody was getting blown out to LSU, so
Yeah,
I don't really
no,
say anything for that year. But and they went to playoffs in 2018. I don't know if he was there at that point.
I don't know what year he took over as head coach.
But they lost in double overtime to Georgia in that year. But I mean, I think when you look at it, you can't really say like he's just a bad coach, like a bad defensive coach, or whatever the case is, because a head coach is a head coach. Like you hire a defensive coordinator to control the defense. So I know Brent Venables is a head coach, but he does the defense. But I think if Oklahoma had a bad offense, they're not going to look at Brent Venables like, why do you guys have a bad offense? They're going to look at the offensive coordinator because that's his job.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. Lincoln Riley gets so much credit for how good his offenses and quarterbacks have been when they have an offensive coordinator, but he gets none of the blame for how bad the defense is. You are the head coach. You are responsible for the offense and the defense, right? You can't just pick a side and say, "Hey, because I am a great offense." Like you're responsible for the defense. That is the role of a head coach. So you can't take the credit for the offense being great and then just pass the blame on for the defense being trash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard because, like I said, like there's some coaches, like Nick Saban handles the defense. Brent Venables handles the defense. Dabble is like the one coach that doesn't really do either. Like I feel like he just overlooks everything. And there's certain coaches that are like that, but a lot of coaches, they are kind of more so on one side of the ball. Which, like Rick and Riley, he's part of the offense. Mike Brent Venables is part of the defense.
But
So
this is what okay. So Ryan Day obviously was offensive coordinator at Ohio State. He's the offensive coach, but he brings in Jim Knowles because we were struggling on defense, right? So yeah, I am sure Jim Knowles is running the defense, and Ryan Day is much more involved in the offense. But so what is Lincoln Riley doing to help this defense? And this has been an ongoing issue. Like you have to recognize, like every place I've been, the issue has been the defense. What am I doing?
yeah, who was his defensive coordinator at Oklahoma?
It was Alex Grinch. He took Grinch with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know then. Maybe they just need to hire somebody else to see what happens. But
maybe.
What other things did we miss on? Oh, I mean, while a couple of people are in here, we can talk about the trip we took. So we went to the Clemson Notre Dame game. For those of you, I know Dane knows, Guinea Pig knows. I'm sure Nolan saw. Chicken, I don't think you saw. I know Edgar saw.
Is my boy in here? Oh, Jack Harlow, is he on?
I doubt it. Let me see.
Jack. Y'all know Bama looks just like Jack Harlow.
Dane said, I don't know why everybody is shocked. Grinch is was kept because he's always had like a bad defensive coordinator. He doesn't really care. First and second string running backs average over 8 yards per carry in USC.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, so we went to the Clemson Notre Dame game. Really good game. It was a fun time. Probably one of the best games that I've ever been to personally. Came down to the wire. Obviously, we had really good seats. Got to storm the field after and stuff like that. It was super fun though. Guinea Pig, I'm sure you watched the game. Did anybody else watch the game? Because if you didn't, you guys missed out on a pretty good one. And I think so. Who does Notre Dame have left to play on their schedule? I know that right now they're 6-3. I had them going 10-2 at the end of the year. I thought they were going to beat either Ohio State. Oh, they beat USC actually. They beat USC, but they lost. They lost to Louisville.
I think you said they would go 2-1 in those games.
Yeah, but then.
But I said I thought they would go 1-3 in those games.
Yeah, I mean it was a good one. If you love punting, it was a great game. How many punts were in that game? I know Clemson's punter did amazing, but
he's amazing. And like I said, probably the unheralded part of that game probably deserves an MVP because often he was pinning Notre Dame inside the 20 and often inside the 10. But
there was a good amount of offense though. It's not like
I was going to say. I think if you just say punting, there was a bunch of scoring early, which led to some good drama late. Now, it wasn't a lot of scoring late, but there was a lot of drama late. And the game had a little bit of everything you would want, right? Clemson got out early. Notre Dame fought their way back and just couldn't get over that hump. You had possessions and plays that would have changed the game. So yeah, I thought it had the necessary drama intensity of a big time college football game.
And I feel like there was a lot of turnovers in the second half too. Like
Um,
I know Cade or Maffa fumbled, Hartman threw
yeah,
a pick.
yeah,
There was a few turnovers on downs, if I'm not mistaken. I just feel like it was a good game.
yeah. A lot of intensity, a lot of
Yeah,
high pressure moments.
yeah, it was definitely a good game. But I mean, let's talk about what games we have this week. Like I said, we don't have score predictions or anything, but we saw obviously Louisville beat Virginia last night, almost lost to Virginia, but they remain on their winning streak. We got
40-0.
Michigan, Penn State this week, which is going to be a big game.
Yeah, I gotta.
Um,
So to hunker down there for a second, this is the first time we're gonna see Michigan really play somebody. I think coming into this season, both me and Steven had a lot of respect for this Michigan team. I think the people that are kind of jumping off of the bandwagon. I mean, that's even tough to say, but obviously they're third in the college football playoff rankings. It's because of them not playing anybody. I think if they come out and really dominate Penn State, I would suspect that they're gonna be they're gonna jump. And it's hard for me to say jump Georgia, but I wouldn't be surprised if they flip flop spots with Ohio State. As an Ohio State fan, I just want us in the top four, but I would not be surprised if because Michigan has looked dominant all season. The only unfortunate part has been against really nobody. And like I think we talked about this. We'll see what the legal proceedings are, but it looks like Jim Harbaugh may not be on the sideline this weekend if they can't get something in place before this weekend.
Jackson here. He said, "What's up, fellas?" Guinea Pig said,
What up,
"Virginia's the
Jack?
best 2-win team." There's a lot of good games this week. Obviously, like I said, the Michigan Penn State game. You have Alabama Kentucky, which should be a decent game. Alabama's on the road. Arizona Colorado.
Whoa.
I expect the Arizona Colorado game to be pretty good. Looking forward to that one. It's at 11 o'clock or 2 o'clock Eastern. Miami Florida State should be a good game. I think Miami is a sneaky team to watch. Maybe they can pull off an upset. I'm on the road, but I think home field advantage is going to play a big part for the Seminoles. You have Utah Washington. That game is really good. You have Tennessee Mizzou. That game should be good. Ole Miss Georgia. The game day game. Then you still have Texas TCU. That game should be solid. Florida LSU. USC Oregon. Duke North Carolina. I feel like there's a lot of good games this week. Dane said Arizona's going to run over Colorado.
So Colorado really needs this game, and I mean that from trying to get bowl eligible.
They're
and
1-5 in their last 6 games.
Bowl eligible is big, especially for a team like Colorado, because it gives you an extra month of practice. And that month of practice is big because I think for most I'm jumping on the bandwagon, most common sense fans, we realize that this was going to be a tough game, a tough year for Colorado. And then maybe next year, it's all about upward trajectory and looking a little bit better. Next year, I think they've already said both Sanders boys are coming back. Shador and Shiloh will both be back next season. Obviously, Travis Hunter still has to play at least one more year. So a lot of those players will be coming back. They're going to bring in another pretty good recruiting class. I'm sure he's going to be in the portal again, grabbing players. So next year is the year that I really expect to see a bigger jump into like an 8-win 10, especially as they move to the Big 12. Oklahoma and Texas move out. Those should be a lot of winnable games there. But I think this an extra month of practice will be big for this team.
So I have a question. If Colorado finishes 5-7 or 4-8, like what is your thoughts on them after starting 3-1?
So the 3-1, and I think we all kind of knew that was.
Well, were they 3-0?
They were 3-0, and then I think they started. But I think we know that was a little misleading. What is my thought? My thoughts from the beginning was, you just want to see them be a little bit better, right? They were going to have depth issues. They were going to have chemistry issues. It's tough to bring dang near 70 new players to a place and then say go out and play teams that have been had some consistency and practiced together and been together for a couple of years. So I'm not, whether it's 4-8 or 5-7, I'm not so much going to hold anybody's feet to the fire for this year. I am much more concerned about next year. I think this is the starting point. I think this gives us the floor, right? And then you say, okay, now if they are 5-7 again next year, then you start to say, oh, wait a minute, this isn't working. But if they're 5-7 or 4-8 this year, then you say, hey, next year I need to at least see 7 wins. I need to see a 7-5, or I need to see an 8-4, right? I think this just gives us the what should be the basement.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy because, like, obviously when the year started, they're 3-0, and everybody was like, it was like media frenzy. It was crazy,
Yeah,
and like it doesn't matter what happens the rest of the year. They've already succeeded, and then you follow that up to go 1-5 in your next 6. Now you look at them like, okay, they're 4-5 now. You have 2 ranked opponents to finish out the rest of the year, and you play Washington State, who's not a slouch as well. If you are to, lose the next 3 games, you end up 4-8, and that means you went 1-7 in your last 8 games after starting undefeated.
yeah. I obviously that's concerning.
Or 1-9, that would be. Or
I'm
yeah,
sure
1-8, 1-8, 1-8.
1-8. Yeah, I'm sure Deion Sanders would say that that's very concerning. I just where I think we look at like I forget the 3-0 start, but where did most people suspect that they would be? And that's about where most people suspected they would be: a 4-8 team, a 5-17. So I think they're coming in at about where we thought they would be. And like I said, to me, this is the floor. This is year one. Is it better than last year? Yes. It would have been tough to be worse than last year, no matter what. But I think where we really start to see whether or not this experiment is working or not is next year.
Guinea Pig said, I think just the way that Deion has been talking is insane. He really went out and said he was going to replace the whole line because of poor play. Yeah, I agree. That was kind of a crazy. That was a crazy thing to say.
And especially at the college level, right? At the NFL level, that's probably a little bit more acceptable. These are college kids; they're not getting paid by and large, and I think at the college level, confidence is big, right? And I think as a coach, you should be trying to instill confidence in your guys. Now, listen, if a unit's playing bad, I think you got to hold their feet to the fire. But I think publicly, what I'm not going to do is flame a unit on my team. Maybe we have those conversations behind closed doors, but I'm not going to put you on blast because one, it looks like I'm trying to embarrass a unit. Two, it looks like a little bit like Deion Sanders is making an excuse.
But also that can also show like, okay, so now if I play poor, if I go there, he's going to put me on blast in front of everybody.
Yes.
And what I don't like, though, is because obviously we all knew, even from when they were winning, the offensive line was an issue. But he didn't come out and say anything about the offensive line when they were winning. So now when you start losing, it's the offensive line's fault. And I do like what Shedeur said in the press conference. I did respect what he said. He said, I'm not mad, or like we're not mad because we're losing, because sometimes even when you win, it feels like you lose. So like I like when he said that, like that was like I respect that.
Well, I'm gonna flip it back, and I think this is the bad part of Deion Sanders coaching his sons. Because I think Deion Sanders' priority, like most people's are, is his son. And so what he wants to do is excuse Shedeur's play and say it's based off of the offensive line. Now, it is a fact that Shedeur is the most sacked quarterback in college football. But you're trying to make some justification for the fact that, hey, there are some things that maybe Shedeur could be doing to help limit the sacks a little bit. Hey, maybe we could get rid of the ball. He holds the ball a little bit. He tries to make big plays. And I think Deion is trying to excuse that. And part of that, I think that's just him as a dad wanting to protect his son. You guys have all been to Pee-wee football games, and you see the dad who never finds fault in what their son is doing, but the rest of the team. And I think this is part of Deion Sanders. And I think he has to treat Shedeur and Shiloh just like any other member of the team.
And I know you just said like he got sacked the most times or whatever that may be. Kind of goes back to what Dane said. If you run the ball, you won't get sacked. So, I mean, when you're throwing the ball 60 times a game, you're obviously going to get sacked more than everybody else. But talking about an opponent that they still have to play in Washington State started off 4-0. They are now 4-5. That is crazy. So they've lost to UCLA, Arizona, Oregon, Arizona State, and Stanford. They still have to play Washington. They obviously play Colorado, and they play Cal. They have a chance to not be bowl eligible after starting off 4-0. Being a top 13 team is crazy.
I think the most disheartening of those is the Stanford game, right? I think we all identified the Pac-12 is good, but I think what this goes to show, especially when you're talking about 18 to 22-year-olds,
Even
confidence is
Arizona
key.
State. Arizona State as well, though.
Yeah, but that's a game I think Stanford we all thought was probably the worst team in the Pac-12. But I think confidence is so key for kids at this age. That yeah, when they were 4-0, they felt good. You lose a game, and then you lose the next, and it feels like the world is falling in. And I feel like it's starting to look like maybe some of these kids are quitting on the team.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of all unfolds. I think Colorado can still win a couple of these games they have remaining. Obviously, Colorado still has to play Washington State, like I said. They play Arizona this week, which I think that game is winnable. And I even think the Utah game is winnable based on what we've seen with Utah's offense. Now, I'm not projecting that. I'm not saying that they're projecting them they're going to win the game, but I wouldn't be extremely shocked if they won any of these last three games, especially
I think they'll go 1-2. I have them going 1-2.
I mean, I can see that too. I could see them going 2-1, 1-2, or 0-3. I don't think they're going to win all three of these games, but I wouldn't be surprised of any of the other outcomes. But I wouldn't mind seeing Colorado going 6-6 and go to a bowl game because I want to see them play against maybe an SEC team or a Big Ten team. I wouldn't mind seeing, or even playing Clemson or playing something like that. I think it would be pretty cool to see them against another team. So I don't want them to finish,
Ooh, Clemson in the Holiday Bowl?
I don't think they're going to get to the Holiday Bowl. I was looking at it. Right now they have Duke and Utah going, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
If you could take Clemson and Colorado,
I would do, if I was the bowl matchup maker, I would do Clemson and Oregon State for sure. I feel like that makes the most money. Yeah. I just think that would make the most sense. Guinea Pig said they're not beating Utah. That's for sure. I mean, like I said, I think there's a slim chance. I wouldn't be completely surprised, especially because Utah lost by 30 to Oregon, so they didn't look good at all. Is Cam Rising even back yet or no?
Cam Rising is not playing this. They've declared him out for the season.
Is he coming back next year? Or?
Now that I don't know.
Because it should count as a red shirt, right?
Yeah,
like a medical red shirt.
He didn't play the whole season, so I'm sure they'll apply for a medical red shirt. But yeah, they've already called him out for the season.
I don't know the roster on the top of my head. But I mean, I think if they get Cam Rising back next year, they're going to be right back in the same position to win the Pac-12 again. Especially Washington's going to take a big drop off. USC is probably going to take a big drop off.
Oregon probably wouldn't win.
Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but then again, who are we talking about again? Utah is going to the Big 12, right?
Utah is going.
I'm almost positive they're going to. I think they're going to the Big 12.
Yeah, I know we're getting USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon.
Yeah, they're Big 12 next year, so they won't even be able to win the Pac-12. But I mean, I think with them,
there's only two teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah, with them going to the Big 12, I think. I mean, you obviously have Texas, you have Oklahoma. So
no, Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC.
So in the Big 12, it's going to be like Oklahoma State, Kansas.
They're adding Colorado. They're adding. It looks Utah. I can't remember all the teams that are getting added.
I'm gonna be honest. I think if Cam Rising's back, they got to be the favorite next year for the Big 12. Then,
yeah,
especially with Texas and Oklahoma leaving.
Yeah, Texas, Oklahoma leaves next year.
Yeah,
but
I would
say
think
the Big 12 is up to like 16 teams as well next year.
Yeah, I mean, I probably like them a lot then. William Bradley, he is a Michigan State fan. He says Michigan State, OU State, or Oklahoma State, or Ohio State, I'm sorry, will be a good game. Michigan State has played better defense this year. Maybe OSU is looking ahead and keeps Michigan State bowl dream alive, but more than likely it's a nightmare.
So as an Ohio State fan, one, Michigan State always seems to play as tough. Two, I think we are now at a point, having survived the Penn State game, where we are probably people are already starting to talk about the Ohio State-Michigan game. They're talking about it, especially with this Harbaugh thing. And I just hope we don't feel like we can just walk out on the field and beat Michigan State. Michigan State can still beat somebody. Do I think we're better? Yes. Do I think we should win? Yes. But again, these are 18 and 22-year-olds. And do I believe that they are probably feeling superior to Michigan State? Absolutely. So you just hope the effort's there, that we put our best foot forward, that we don't find ourselves in a hole like we did in the Rutgers game at halftime, and then all of a sudden we feel like, oh snap, we need to turn it on. Because I think you can only pull that card so many times.
Yeah, I agree. Should be a good one. Hopefully, it's a good week of football. I think. I mean, like I said, just looking at the slate of games, I think this is one of the more loaded weeks of football. Like I said, you have Michigan State, Penn State, or Michigan, Penn State. It's a top 10 matchup. Arizona, Colorado, I think will be entertaining. Miami, Florida State should be entertaining. Utah, Washington, Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, Georgia, Michigan State, Ohio State, like we said, Florida, LSU, Texas, TCU, Duke, North Carolina, USC, Oregon. There's 10 to 12 games that are going to be pretty good games this week. Hopefully we get some upsets. Wouldn't mind saying that. But we are going to go live on Sunday, probably 7:30 Eastern to kind of recap, get back into regular scheduled programming here on Clash of Cultures. Next week, we're going to start the daily uploads again. Monday, we're going to start daily uploading every day. Another live show again coming next Friday. But that's going to wrap it up for, this episode. Hopefully you guys stuck around with us the whole time. Thank you guys for showing out, showing support, giving us your opinions and stuff like that. He says Oregon's winning 60-24 against USC. I think USC is going to score more than 24, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think Oregon's going to move up and down the field on the boys.
Yeah, and kind of before we leave, do you think Caleb Williams is going to just finish out the year? Like, what do you think he's going to do?
I feel like it can go both ways. I feel like he's going to finish the year. I think he may not play in the bowl, but I think he'll play through the regular season. But yeah, I think we're at a point. Maybe if they lose, I said this after the Washington game. I thought maybe he would sit out the rest of the year. Maybe if they lose this Oregon game, you kind of ask yourself, what are we playing for at this point? But I think it would look bad for him to kind of quit on his team mid-season. So I think even if just for that reason, he doesn't look like somebody who just quits on his team. I think he'll push it through at least the regular season.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that he finishes out the year just because it'll look good for him.
Well, the concern is obviously, like, if you get hurt, and substantially, and it could happen, like, you're probably second guessing and saying, for what was he playing for?
Yeah. But as always, if you guys are new around here, please do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it to somebody else, get these subscribe numbers up so that way we can give away the signed Heisman jersey. We're going to be live, like I said, on Sunday around 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. We look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys then. Peace out, everybody.